Welcome, everybody, back to the Gaming Careers Podcast, a weekly live stream covering all the news from the live streaming and content creation industry. This week, we'll be chatting about the leaked details of Twitch's plans to monetize Discovery with the Boost This Stream feature, some new event functionality from Discord that could be very useful for content creators, and a whole bunch of new features and tests being run by both Twitch and YouTube that I'm sure you'll all want to know about. For any new watchers and listeners, this is a live show we do every single Monday here on YouTube, so please do feel free to join in the chat. Let us know your thoughts on the topics we're discussing. We often bring in comments from the chat, and it's great to see so many of you already participating. So shout out, good morning, afternoon, or evening to ASD Does Games, Aaron, Icecap, Krovikan, Vulter, Yonbon, Magnus, DJ Sammy, loads of people already in the chat. Ben, before I hand this over to you and ask how you are, could you just quickly get your wallet out and boost this stream up so that it's recommended all over the homepage for us?
Yeah, you want me to do the base or the premium recommendation?
Yeah,
Which
the
one should we
premium.
shell out for?
Yeah, take
Gotcha.
a loan out. Let's put $100 behind this.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be such a good episode to talk about this kind of stuff. I'm sure you guys have already seen it, but yeah, quite a lot to talk about today. Welcome everybody. This is live. Always like to mention that this is not recorded. This is live, so welcome everyone. I think to start with, we have some stuff for updates on last week, just to kind of recap that a little bit on the music side of things. Last week talked about how Twitch and the publishing company, I'm blanking on the name, had the deal on the new copyright process for striking, but also just more access to music with what Twitch is trying to do. So since then, Twitch has come out and also partnered with Warner Music. So it seems like they might be going for a couple different publisher companies here to try and, one, get this new copyright process out there, but two, just build the bridges essentially, even though nothing has really changed yet with the MCA. So this seems almost exactly the same as the one we saw last week. Pete, anything different that you saw come out in the article so far?
No, there's a couple of quotes I think we should pull out. This first one: Warner Music will launch dedicated channels for some of its artists. So, I mean, that literally means nothing to us streamers. All it means is that some of the artists under Warner Music are going to launch Twitch channels as part of the deal, which is obviously good for Twitch. And the label will also create like a standalone channel to stream some original programming from its Imagine production house. So that means nothing to streamers. And the other quote that I wanted to pull out was just that they're going to be using the new process that Twitch built, like we talked about last week. So hopefully it means that less DMCA strikes for like accidental usage of copyrighted material of WMGs, but absolutely does not clear you to use this music in your streams. I still see people talking about like deals like this, meaning that they can use. I saw one tweet of somebody pulling out like artists that have signed with Warner Music and then saying that you could use all of these artists' music in your streams now. Absolutely not. That isn't the case. Really, nothing has changed for streamers. It's just Twitch now obviously has some contacts at these different labels, and they're trying to get them to start using this new process rather than DMCA, which is hopefully a little bit more forgiving, as it says here, on individuals who have inadvertently played music they weren't authorized to use. But doesn't clear you for anything like that. The other update from, I don't know if it was last week's podcast or the week before, but I know it was last week's because it literally came out straight afterwards. Twitch's new verification tools have launched. So we talked about this last week, and I think we just had a screenshot, didn't we then? But this actually has launched. And when we talked about it last week, we were saying, I hope this is more than just a proof of concept screenshot. I hope this is actually, really nearly implemented. And there was some there's some indications of that because there was like a German screenshot and an English screenshot, and I think they would have only built it in multiple languages if they were close to launch. And it has now launched. So this is, as a reminder, or for people that didn't catch it last week, some new options that all Twitch streamers have in their dashboard where they can basically control who can chat in their chat. This can be set to have email verification, phone verification, and you can set some restrictions on that in terms of if you don't want everyone to have email verification, you can sort of restrict it to only people that haven't followed your account for more than a month or anything like that. So there's loads of customization. Both of us talked up this feature last week. It's great to see it came out so quickly. What's your opinion, Ben? Have you seen good reception to this through the Twitch community?
Yeah, so I feel like the theme of this podcast episode is we get one really good change and a slew of questionable changes after that. So I think that was probably not accidental that they had this go out, because this is, I think, the biggest win that Twitch has had in a while. And I'm glad that kind of as we reported last week, it really came out with all the same features that we saw in the screenshot. So both email and phone verification and different levels of verification for each of those, whether you want it to be everybody or even say like a certain amount of time you have to have verified in advance, like a week, month account, month verification. So this is really big, especially with all the hate raids going on, which are still ongoing, unfortunately, and in news sectors, it seems like, just to help combat that kind of stuff. Plus bots. I mean, we've had follow bot spams forever on Twitch, so this kind of thing helps curb that too. And all in all, I think this is just a good update. Like, there's nothing I can complain about with this one overall, unlike most of the rest of the stuff we'll probably talk about later today with some nuances, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. The majority of the feedback that I've seen from this has been positive. I don't really understand how people could complain about this because it's giving control to the streamers and you can customize it as much as you want. I think we mentioned last week that it does put Twitch in like a bit of a difficult position because one of the metrics that they care the most about is how many people they have interacting with their platform. And if loads of streamers are making it more difficult for viewers to interact, they have to have a phone number. And this isn't just like a house phone number, it has to be a phone number that can receive text messages. So a mobile phone number, as well as an email verified, then that is going to be more hurdles for a new user to jump through. So technically, it's making Twitch's acquisition of a new user more difficult. So that's, I think, why Twitch hasn't just made any of these default. They still want it to be super easy for somebody that finds out about Twitch to register, to go to the platform, or not even to register, but like to go to the platform, start watching, make an account, and then start chatting without having to do the verification steps. But then they do give the control to the streamers. So yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one for Twitch because they're reporting to Mr. Amazon above them, and they don't want to make any of their numbers look bad. So I think that's why it's not been enabled by default. One thing we didn't cover last week is it has like a little security rating. If I bring up the screen share again, so as you enable more and more options, I don't know if you can even see this because it's such a low quality GIF, but sort of like a password strength meter where you can see how safe your channel is based on the options that you enable or disable. But yeah, I've generally heard pretty good things about this. I don't know how many streamers are actually diving in and changing this. Probably just the ones that have been affected by hate raids or, particularly vocal in the community and have seen these hate raids going on and wanting to enable it. But I don't know if I haven't seen any complaints from big channels or anything like that. So I think that's probably it for recapping news from last week. Should we go on to trying to sell Twitch clips as NFTs? Ben, do you want to introduce that?
Sure. Yeah. So if you guys are in this space, I'm sure you've seen all the discussion about NFTs lately. And there's a new trend where people are turning Twitch clips or streamer clips into NFTs essentially. So this is really interesting to me that there is a new company called Eternal, which is an NFT marketplace where essentially you can sell clips for certain streamers. And they have a list of partnered streamers that have these as NFTs. I'm going to preface this by saying I'm not an NFT expert, so I can't get like super granular on how these work. But it's interesting because they've had a lot of support from some pretty big names. Names like Mark Cuban and Gary Vee are investing in this kind of thing. I have seen a lot of different brands break into NFTs in gaming lately, and this is probably the first that I've seen with such big supporters coming into the space. Plus, it's so tied into what Twitch is doing and just maybe a new potential stream of revenue for creators. So really interesting to me. I don't know, Pete, are you familiar with NFTs on your side of things? If you have more time to dive in.
I mean, I would say I'm similar. I'm aware of the concept, and I'm one of the people that's a bit skeptical, but I'm very happy to be proven wrong. But this platform, I'd never visited the website before I saw this in like the news that we were going to cover this week. So I went on and had a look around at some of the clips and found this clip from Indie Fox, who obviously is like a top creator, probably the most popular streamer that I actually saw putting clips up onto eternal.gg. But the NFT that she's selling, or maybe it's her agency that's selling, is her covering Hallelujah, which I'm sure that can't be done. That is copyright infringement. You can't be making money off covering another song. Isn't that like the big problem that all the cover artists had on YouTube like 5-6 years ago, that they weren't able to like acoustically cover all these songs and make money from it? But this is one step further. She's actually selling the clip of like 50 seconds of her playing the song. So to me, that doesn't seem right. I'm sure that things like that will get clamped down on. But this whole idea of selling clips, I'm happy to be proven wrong. Maybe this is the future, and if so, then we're going to split up the Gaming Careers podcast into 20-second clips, and we'll be auctioning them off at the, the end of every
That's
show.
right.
But it's yeah, you're right. As soon as you see big names and the value that they raised being 4.5, was it 4. Let me get this right before $4.5 million. Then you're starting to think, oh well, there's got to be some belief in a project like this. I think there was like a community built version that came out like a few months ago. I remember seeing it on Livestream Fail. And the person was just like clipping channels and selling the clips himself. It wasn't even his own channel. So it didn't get received particularly well, but maybe this is a more robust system. But yeah, just something to keep an eye on. I'd be interested to see like in the chat if people
Yeah.
are interested in this kind of thing.
I would love to hear from anyone listening to if you guys have thoughts on this space because it's so new and Pete and I aren't experts in here. I just know I've seen a lot of people who are really, really vocal about NFTs, about this kind of thing. So I think we'll keep an eye on it for sure. And the concept's kind of cool. You know, if you browse through, I was watching through Rogue's clips on there, which he's an Apex streamer. And they've got like rarities of the clip. So, you know, like some once in a lifetime type of clip goes for a lot more than your basic clip that's on there. And so that kind of concept's cool. And you could own that clip, I guess, especially if it's some big viral clip that goes all over the internet and you'd own that. I see the actual appeal of that, but I'm just so new to NFTs that I've got a lot to learn still on how that would all work and whether they could roll out to every streamer or just a couple streamers that they're actually partnering with here to start.
Yeah, well, something to keep an eye on. Let's move from NFTs to Discord because Discord has had a few updates this week. Probably the most interesting one from a streamer's point of view, I think, is the reintroduction of scheduled events, but the addition to them now being able to be things outside of what did Discord call them? Stage channels.
Yep.
So now you can create events, set them to happen at a certain time, and they can be external to Discord. So this could be used for new YouTube videos going out, live streams, meetups, TwitchCon meetups, things like that. The thing I'd actually be quite keen to test this next week, Ben. If you can remind me, we should create a scheduled event for this podcast, and I think effectively anybody that basically says that they're interested in the event will then get a notification when the event goes live. So if we remember to schedule the podcast in advance, people could click that they're interested in it, and then we can actually test out the feature to make sure that they get notifications and see how that impacts viewership and things like that. You're probably more involved in Discord communities than I am. I mean, obviously I run the Gaming Careers one, but it's so busy that I take a bit of a back seat and let the moderators deal with the majority of the things being said in there. But I would be really happy to test something like this. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about this event tool because they had the stage channel event tool for a while, but it wasn't quite there. And I don't think like Discord really tried to push stage channels, probably in response to Clubhouse and everything, but it didn't really take off as far as I saw. And I think we have another piece to talk about here in a sec there. But the events tool is really cool. So I would definitely check this out if you guys do use Discord, because now you don't have to only do voice channel events even or stage channel events, but you can link off site or something. So I've used it for things like a stream schedule already, which in the past we've had to use like a bot or a similar tool to do that, which isn't quite as baked in. Plus, once you've made the actual event, you get a link for the event that you can post in any Discord server. And if you've used Discord, they do their own little custom design for Discord specific events. So you actually get that to share in other servers, and people can click the reminder for when that event starts. So there's a lot of cool things baked into this. I think this is one of like the biggest things Discord has been missing for a while. And especially as a streamer, this type of thing is really helpful for scheduling that kind of thing. So I would definitely check it out if you've not already.
I'm muted. So how does this appear when you link something that is outside of Discord and the event starts? What do people get? Is it like a pop-up in Discord and then they can click a link in that pop-up, or what is it? Just a notification that you get, like a traditional Discord notification?
Yeah, so the one that you're doing offsite is still, I think, a little in development because you can add a link to it when you're creating the event, but I don't think you can click the link, which is kind of counterintuitive. Maybe they're still working on it, not totally sure there, but it does send a reminder to you, and you can actually click to start an event, especially in the voice channel events. If you do a game night or something, those are really easy to do. It can even send a ping to people who've already reminded for the event that it's starting and where to join it. For offsite events, I think you don't actually get the link to a stage channel or voice channel, obviously, but you still get that reminder. So I know it's brand new, and they're still tweaking some things. I don't even think this is rolled out to every server just yet. It's only for certain servers, and we've even seen it go on and offline for different days of the week. So I don't know exactly what they're doing, but the concept's really cool. So if you have access to it, check it out because I've had a lot of good use with it so far.
Why do why don't you go straight onto server avatars, Ben?
Yeah, yeah. So this was another thing that Discord announced this week, which is server profiles, which basically means you can customize, I believe, your name and your avatar per server now. So you don't have to use the same kind of identity across every server, which is interesting. And I think it's a Nitro feature for at least the avatar. Maybe the name you can change without Nitro. I haven't tested this out myself, but I could see the appeal if you want to be using the same account but have like a different persona on different servers. I'm curious in chat if you guys have used this too, because I'm also not a Nitro subscriber right now, so I can't fully use the feature. But Pete, I know you are, so maybe you've
Yeah,
tried this out.
you've been able to change your nickname on different servers for quite a while now, which is useful for me because my Discord username is Gaming Careers, but I don't like when I'm joining my mates League of Legends server to play with them. I don't want to join as Gaming Careers. I'd prefer to join as Pete, or even in the Gaming Careers Discord, I'm just known as Pete. So you've been able to change like what your name is on Discord servers for quite a while, but this now also allows you to change avatars. I guess this is kind of useful for people that are in multiple different Discord servers that aren't all necessarily to do with gaming, and maybe you don't want your like gaming avatar in your school Discord server. So it's a rollout for me as Discord grows to be more and more popular outside of just like the niche gaming community, but nothing massive. And then the last thing is that they've announced that they're retiring a feature to do with communities, right? So I think this is the one to do with stage channel discovery. Is that right, Ben? You probably know better than I do.
Yeah, so for a while they had stage channel discovery as you could browse any stage channel live on any server, and they really pushed that, like I said, for a while. But it seems like it wasn't used. I never used the feature. Maybe somebody in Discord here did. So they've removed that, and in addition to that, they've also, I believe, lowered the requirements to be a community server for discovery. So I've been part of some Discords that have actually now had access to get on discovery for Discord, which I think is great because the server discovery tool in Discord is pretty cool, but it's pretty restrictive right now because you had to have like 7,000 members, I think, to get into it before, and now it's 1,000 or something like that. So they've drastically reduced the requirements to get into this system. Plus, I think it's better to look for servers than to look for stage channels personally. If I'm using Discord that way, like I can search for a specific game or a character in a game or something like that versus just an event per se. So I like this change a lot, and I think I'll use it more. I don't know, Pete, you have thoughts on this?
I'm just highlighting something in chat from the previous feature, the server avatars. Porgy says, "That's great. It's a bit awkward when I join my work Discord with my Zelda Twilight Princess picture." So there's a prime use case of the server avatars coming through. But yeah, it makes sense from Discord's point of view. I think if it's not being used, then you might as well retire it. But nice little bundle of Discord updates to go through. What is next on our list? I think it's Twitch tests. So Twitch have been testing a variety of different things over the past week. We're going to save the best for last, which is the thumbnail and title of this. But the other two that we've found, you've handily got us a screenshot of one of them, which is the thumbnails that you can now get of streams that are live. And this to me looks like a project that you give an intern. I can't believe that this has actually like come to fruition and people have seen this on the platform. For those listening on the podcast, how can I describe this? Effectively, they've created thumbnails for live channels we think you'll like. And if I could describe these thumbnails, it's effectively the streamer's name, how many viewers they've got, what category they're streaming in, and then their avatar in like a colored circle. It genuinely looks like my first attempt at making a YouTube thumbnail.
Yeah, this is
just,
interesting. I think so. It's just a template basically. There's like subtle differences between the colors. So it's got a ring around your avatar based on the color that you select for your channel, is what I assume, because you can choose that on Twitch now. And it looks very simple. I don't know if maybe they're trying to just play with different ways of recommending channels. There's the zoom. There you go. And this is their first shot, or maybe they're taking reference from YouTube on how they use some avatar or for thumbnails for their streams, but those are also you can make your own thumbnail, not get an automated one. So I don't know. I think it's cool to see them try stuff, but this doesn't really catch my attention,
Yeah,
especially because like half of it's just gray
it,
anyway, you know?
is this how is this better than like a random screenshot from your stream, which is what currently you see? Like at least that gives you some idea of the current state of the stream. Like it's a screenshot from the last 2 minutes, and you get to understand, oh, they're actually in game, they're not in a lobby, and I can see that they're actually streaming. Like this is literally just 50% of it. 50% of it is what avatar you chose to put on your Twitch account. I can't see this actually ever making it to production. I mean, the fact that it's already been released and out means that maybe it has made it to production, but um, it just seems like such low effort. I remember like a couple of times I've been front paged on Twitch for a special event. Like a good example was when I live streamed my point of view running a marathon, and I was in contact with Twitch UK about all of that, and they asked for some graphics that they could put into the carousel. So they asked for like a static thumbnail. So that actually gave me a bit of time to like design something that looked kind of interesting, because some people, you can set Twitch up to not autoplay in the carousel. So like it shows a thumbnail instead. Why don't they just give that control to streamers now? Like you can choose your custom thumbnail. I mean, maybe that's a really bad idea because we're going to see clickbait and everyone's going to have, you know, the Mr. Beast version of thumbnails all over Twitch. But I just don't think this is the answer, Ben.
Yeah, no, the stream thumbnail thing is really interesting to me because I personally am for it, but I see your point where it could get very spammy and people just using the same thumbnails every time, which can happen on YouTube. I think I've seen a lot of cases of that where it's just like 50 of that same thumbnail. So I'd love to hear from chat what you guys think. Would you guys want to see more thumbnails on Twitch, like custom thumbnails that you make, or do you prefer just having how it is, where it just grabs a random segment, or maybe some middle ground? I don't know, but in general, I feel like they could do a little better than what they have right now. Even if you could just like choose like from a couple options that it grabs from the stream and pick one of those, because sometimes you can have like you're got some weird face happening or something that doesn't really represent the rest of your stream shows the thumbnail. So I think it's not exactly perfect as it is either.
Yeah, well, whilst chat is answering that question, let's bring up the other feature that Twitch is testing apparently next week, according to Zach. Effectively, when you subscribe in a Twitch chat, we've already seen that you now have subscriber goals that can show next to your message, but they're also going to be trying out some fun facts below your subscription, such as how long they've been following or subscribed for, or what their most used emote is. So I can imagine there's probably a whole handful of different random assigned fun facts that can come with your subscription message now. Minor feature, I guess, and anything that Twitch does at the moment is trying to backtrack, I guess, on the leak that we're going to be talking about relatively soon. But any thoughts on this, Ben? I mean, like for me, it's a bit of a nothing feature, and it's just, you know, trying to add a little bit more personalization to your subscription. So I guess it helps the viewer at the end of the day. Maybe they're going to like seeing what their most used emote is, until that emote ends up having some annotation to it that it's, you know, racist in some way or something like that, and then maybe you don't want your most used emote to be shown on stream. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I like and I dislike this feature. I think the main thing is that it seems like a lot of the features that are coming out are related to money in some way, to put it bluntly. Like this is clearly more of an incentive to give you something to subscribe. Just like even on the screenshot, they have that new goal feature that came out with the
Mhm.
built-in sub and follower goal. So now you've got two more incentives on your subscription to make you want to subscribe. And so like, let's be clear, I think that's the main reason this is being changed. Now, I do see there's a little value in that to see how long you've been following for or your most used emote. But those are also things you can find with like a bot or other types of integrations on Twitch. So it's not like they're like super new. I ultimately this is an okay feature for me. I think it's interesting, but I don't really think it's that much of value add for viewers at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm going to mess up this name. Krovikan says in chat that it adds to community engagement. And I guess when you bundle enough of these like small little features together, then eventually it does entice people to support streamers a little bit more. What's next? I think it might be Twitch ads. Yes, it is. So let's move on to a couple of new ad formats that Twitch has launched, and this is a screenshot that you've shown. So not only have you shown that you have been following the pros in their boot camp for Worlds, League of Legends, but also that you're you're not using an ad block. So well done to you, Ben. Hats off to you for that. But do you want to describe what you screenshotted here?
Yeah, I'm out here doing it for the listeners, man. I gotta watch those ads. So basically, we talked about this on the podcast before, but banner ads are small ads if you're just listening to the podcast that show below the video player. That kind of there's actually an animation when it pops up where it'll kind of shrink the video player, and then in that same space, there's a small banner ad below the whole stream.
Mhm.
And so in this case, you've got free guy or something that's being advertised. It doesn't stop the video, it doesn't stop the audio. And actually, I like this experience. Now, I wonder how much value this actually gets from an advertiser perspective, because I mean, it's pretty small relative to the entire channel size, and I don't see many people clicking this except maybe by mistake. But I still think it's a way better improvement than the current, mid-roll experience that completely interrupts the stream. So ultimately, I'm glad to see this rolling out. But Pete, what are your thoughts?
How long was this on screen for? Because it's not like the banner ads that you see on YouTube where you get like a little X in the top corner and you can get rid of it. This one sort of, it moves the stream up, doesn't it? And then the banner ad is shown at the bottom, and then I presume automatically it moves the stream back down again. So how long was it on screen for when you saw it?
It was pretty short. I want to say like 15, 20 seconds or so. I didn't time it, but something like that. So it didn't stay there for too long.
Yeah, I mean, if I can judge it based on YouTube's banner ads, then it's not going to be a big monetization opportunity for streamers. Like, these banner ads pay peanuts compared to a video ad, and we all know that video ads on Twitch pay peanuts anyway. So I really don't think that this is going to make a huge difference to creators' incomes unless you're already in the top 1% and holding 25,000 viewers or more. But I like that it's not intrusive. It's not overlaying any of the video. It's automatic in some ways. If they can tie it in with the ability to prevent pre-rolls, if you display enough of these banner ads, it means that viewers don't get pre-rolls when they load your stream for the first time. That could be really cool. But yeah, there was a comment in chat that I saw that, let me try and find it now. It feels like Twitch is nickel diming, which is a phrase that I've never heard before, viewers to death. But effectively, I imagine that means that they're trying to get as much money as they can out of viewers, and that's going to be even more true when we get to our final topic today. But I guess I kind of agree with that. We've said before that Twitch has to answer to Daddy Amazon, and Daddy Amazon wants them to start turning a profit, and to do that, they need to display ads.
Yeah, I think that's the running theme through all of this, especially because we've seen so many monetization changes, and there's been things like the verification, which are nice, but then they come with 4 or 5 monetization related features at the same time. And I think it's ultimately just because they have to start, like you said, turning a profit. Like, they're really starting to feel the pressure on that, which makes sense for a company, right? So I understand why they have to do that, but the experience is still kind of unfortunate when most of the features you see coming out are just about monetization. Again, I do want to say, for this specific example of the banner ad, I actually like this because it's way less intrusive. However, from Amazon and Twitch's side, I don't see it making the difference in their profit with running this kind of thing. But maybe, I don't know, maybe they can sell more spots to people with this kind of thing.
Okay, so you're not a massive fan of banner ads. What are your thoughts on audio ads?
This one's so weird. So this just got announced, which is for partners and affiliates. They're going to start doing audio ads, which does not do anything to the video. So your video, when you're watching a stream, effectively stays exactly the same. However, the audio cuts out, and instead you hear an ad read, kind of like a Spotify ad, I would assume. I haven't heard an example of this, but from what I've seen, you're just listening to an ad, which is weird. I guess it's better than a mid-roll theoretically, but it's still sort of strange to just be hearing something completely different than when you're watching at the same time. So I guess it's really not that different from a mid-roll. It's just you don't have a shrunken screen anymore and not a video for the ad. So maybe these are just cheaper for advertisers to get more people on the platform advertising. I don't know. This is a weird response to me, Pete. What do you think?
Yeah, so the example, I don't know how well people are going to be able to make it out in the video, because again, it's Twitter GIF compression, and it doesn't always come out the best. But yeah, essentially the the advert that they're showing there is Twitch ad 1 of 2, and it's 30 seconds long. So if we take that at face value and just imagine that it's going to be a minute of the streamer's audio being interrupted by some kind of sponsorship message, I mean, I don't hate it. It just feels like at some point you're going to be watching a Twitch stream. The stream's going to get smaller as a banner ad comes up. Then 2 minutes later, you're going to not have any audio because there's an audio ad going on instead. And then 2 minutes later than that, it's going to zoom up into the top right corner as you get a full screen, 600% volume advert for a new movie that's coming out. And it's like, at some point, people are going to just stop wanting to watch streams on this platform because it's interrupted by too many things. And as a newcomer to Twitch, like, Twitch is already a confusing platform to arrive at for people that don't understand live content. If they come and then all of a sudden the audio gets interrupted, they might think that, you know, it's the streamer themselves that are directly representing that brand in the advert. And I guess that's no different to a video ad. And we've been begging for Twitch to give controls to streamers to be able to prevent certain brands from advertising on their channel. But I don't know about this. I guess it's going to come down to how well it pays and, you know, how intrusive it is. But yeah, I don't know if I'm trying to imagine, like, sometimes you want to just be listening to the stream rather than watching it. So almost having a banner ad is much easier because it doesn't interrupt the actual stream you're watching at all. It just makes it slightly smaller.
Yeah, I mean, the silver lining here is at least they're trying different ad formats. You know, in the past, we've had mid rolls and pre rolls for so long without much change. So it's good at trying stuff out. And hopefully we'll see more of the things like the multiplayer ads we talked about before, or the banner ads, I think, that are not as intrusive, or maybe even like integrate better with Twitch, especially the multiplayer one. I like those ads a lot. But it's still interesting to see. The one comment I was going to say for the audio ads is captions might be really important now for your stream. If there's going to be a lot of these audio ads coming out and people still want to know what you're talking about when the ad's playing. So you might want to look into that if we see more audio ads rolling out across the platform.
Ben, you're the perfect co-host. You know, there's a video on the Gaming Careers channel about how you can get closed captions on your Twitch stream for free, completely without any plugins or anything like that. So that was a really, you know, I didn't push you to plug that at all. It's just absolutely honest from our co-host, Ben.
Yeah,
but yes, a really good point. Maybe you will start to see people enabling closed captions because of audio ads becoming too intrusive. You sound like you have more to say, Ben. I'll send it back over to you.
I was just going to say my PayPal is in the DMs, so you can take me for that ad read right there. I think those are most of, well, the minor Twitch monetization updates, and we'll talk about the last one, the big finale, in a second here. But YouTube has something to say as well, which is pretty interesting, I think. And so they're running a new test, Pete. I don't know if you want to pop up the tweet and kind of walk through, because it's pretty interesting to see some of the data that we're giving to creators now on the YouTube side.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube again pushing the boundary of the level of analytics that you can get as a content creator. They're running a new experiment, basically allowing content creators to see which videos of theirs are the best at bringing new viewers back later to watch more. So really interesting stat, this, because one of the things that you get as you create more and more content on YouTube is you start to get a bit of a catalog of videos. And then when somebody arrives at your video through search or through discovery in some way, it's really useful to know, do they just watch that video and leave forever? Or do they watch that video and then return and watch more and more of your content? So this is a way of being able to see that. And then you can start to tailor your content to, you know, be more similar to that and bring in more viewers back to your channel. So content that really promotes other videos on your channel, I guess, is the analytic point that they bring. YouTube have done so much work on the analytics platform in the past like 2 years, making it easier to understand, because it was just data that you could get lost in, and now they're trying to make it easier to understand. There's always the risk, I think, with these things that you start to feel negatively towards like videos that you've worked really hard on if they're not doing well, and maybe this will contribute to that. But it's there if you want to find it, and I think it's a pretty cool tool. But probably time that we got into the main topic of today. We've saved it for last because it's probably the one that we want to speak the most about. But yes, it's the title of the podcast. Boost this streamer features on Twitch. I'll bring up the Verge's article just because it had the highest quality GIF load for this. But if you have somehow missed this, I can't remember when it came out. Certainly in the last week since we did the podcast, but quite a lot of creators have sort of shared their opinions on this. But for those of you that haven't heard of it, Boost This Stream is effectively a screenshot or GIF of a feature that Twitch is working on, where viewers can boost a streamer's stream by paying money. And what are they actually doing when they boost that stream? They're not guaranteeing viewers in any way. That would be questionable in its own right. But they're guaranteeing a certain number of what they're calling recommendations. Now, I'll describe a little bit more for people listening on audio. You can buy 1,000 recommendations for 99 cents or 3,000 recommendations for $2.97. So roughly $1 for 1,000 recommendations. But what is a recommendation? What's the click-through rate for those kind of things? I think most people have assumed that a recommendation is kind of similar to the Twitch homepage. It's like the left-hand bar. It doesn't show a preview. It doesn't show anything about what that stream is about. It just says their name and their title, I believe. So even if you got 3,000 impressions, how many people are clicking there? I don't think I've ever clicked on a recommended stream. I've clicked on the followed streamers above that, but this is just a crazy feature to announce, like when they're already being criticized so much for other things. And maybe the most important thing to mention about this is that none of this money goes to the streamer. 100% of it goes to Twitch. So Twitch is hoping that it can get viewers to want their favorite streamers to be popular, pay money for them to be recommended on the homepage, and then who knows what the click-through rate of those recommendations is. I'd be surprised if it was even 0.01%, never mind 1%. I think it's going to be crazy low conversion. So you could be just giving money to Twitch, seeing no improvement towards the streamer that you're trying to care for. So I've rambled on for a bit. Ben, what's your initial take of this when you saw it? Did it make you mad or did it make you laugh?
Both. I sort of couldn't believe it at first. I think this is one of the features that I've seen from Twitch that pretty much universally everyone disliked for the most part. Just because the timing of it and the execution of it, like there's just so many things they could have done differently, I think. The biggest thing, obviously, is Twitch has been known to be bad with discoverability for years at this point, right? And so, the biggest thing is rather than trying to fix that issue with the new system or algorithm or service, the solution is just to pay for it, right? To just pay for discovery now. At least that's the idea. But even on execution of that, like you said, paying for front page impressions, not clicks, just to get impressions from people is what you're paying for. And it's cheap, but like Pete said, I think you're going to get for 3,000 recommendations, you might get, I don't even know, 10 clicks maybe. Like it's got to be so low because there's so many people who just are on the front page, kind of just not actually clicking through. You've seen this with like the front page inflation of views all the time with the front page carousel. And so I think the same thing will happen with recommendations where you'll get a lot of technical impressions, but no one's actually clicking through. And that's just the execution side. The whole idea of doing this in terms of like ethics and design is a whole nother conversation. So like the biggest thing to me is that you as the streamer don't get any cut of this, right? So you're essentially asking viewers to choose between supporting you with like a subscription or donation, that kind of thing, or to boost the stream, which theoretically, the thought for viewers is, well, I'm helping this person get promoted, right? So this is actually more valuable than a donation because this will help grow their audience. But in reality, that's not really helping the channel grow at all. And most creators right now with this execution would probably prefer to get that donation or revenue to help support that way versus paying Twitch for something that's not really going to do anything. So there's a lot to talk about with this, Pete. I've seen so much discussion on this. I'm sure you have too.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up a couple of comments that we've seen. I don't know if you know the answer to this, but Porgy asks, can you buy this as a creator or is it only for the viewers? I mean, I'd be surprised if this was an option for the creator because it feels to me like Twitch wants viewers to feel like they're a part of this, but there's probably nothing stopping you having a second account and putting your things through. And also saw a comment from Dries saying Facebook gaming has a similar thing. Now, we admit often that we're not experts on Facebook gaming, but I believe that Facebook's system for boosting streams is way more targeted because Facebook has so much data. So their whole ad platform is based around the fact that I can target people from a certain demographic living in a certain city that already follow some Twitch streamers and speak this language, and you can really target down and make sure that the people you're advertising to are, have a high chance of clicking through and being part of your stream. Whereas Twitch knows almost nothing. They probably know which streams you follow and which streams you've watched a lot of, but it's so much harder, I think, for them to be able to have a high click-through rate on their platform.
Yeah, the other thing is, I think if you're talking about Facebook's boost system in general with advertising, which I would assume is the same on live streams, usually it's the creator paying for the boost, right? That's the big difference.
Mm.
Versus this, you're asking your viewers to pay for you, which is kind of predatory, right? Because you're basically saying you want the viewers to kind of support the streamer, but really they're supporting Twitch through this design. Versus, like, it'd be different if Twitch had come out with this and said, if you're a brand or if you're a creator, you can boost your own channel. That at least is better. I think there's still issues with that, but in terms of the ethics side of that, the viewer boost is where things get really muddy for me. That I don't like that design at all.
But there's another good comment from the Crow Shot, who points out, and we did cover this at the time, that originally the feature that they built here was that you could use channel points to redeem boosting the streamer to the front page, and it would only be active for a small number of streamers at a time. And most people never saw this as an option in their channel points rewards, but it led to zero growth from his point of view, and he never got it. But witness friends whose viewership remained unchanged. So is it actually going to affect anything? Are people going to click through? Like, this feature will only work if it gets used and there are good results from it. And part of my hesitation is what's preventing the big streamers from reaping the biggest benefits from this. They're the ones that are already getting the most support. Their communities are already arguably some of the most tight-knit in terms of how much they support. So if 100 of their viewers see this option, what's stopping them from promoting that and spending hundreds of dollars on promotion? Like, it has to be built in a way where smaller streamers are the ones that benefit. But I really don't like the idea of it being support from your community and all of the cash going from your community to Twitch's pockets. I would love to really encourage, if you are supporting a channel and supporting a stream and you're thinking about doing this or subscribing or donating in some way, that money can be put to such better use for the streamer. If you instead of trying to promote them, gave them a donation, that could lead to them being able to take a course on learning how to video edit, and then they can grow their stream so much quicker by building content on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube than they could relying on their community to be boosting their stream every single week, just in the hopes that 0.1% of people that see their name click through to it. Behind the scenes, Amazon must be putting so much pressure on Twitch to make money for this feature to even have made it out. And I feel really bad for all the Twitch employees that are doing great work there. And, then they see things like this and maybe they didn't even have a clue about it, or maybe they've argued against it in board meetings. It just feels bad because it's such a bad idea that streamers are, rightfully so, I think, complaining about all over Twitter. He got a lot of major news coverage as well, just because I think of how bad of an idea it was, really, at the end of the day. We ran a poll actually in today's live stream asking, would you pay to boost your favorite streamer? And actually it's closer than I thought it would be. It's had 700 votes and 68% have said no and 32% have said yes. So maybe we're not thinking with open enough minds here. Maybe there are viewers that want to support streamers through this method.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, this is still a leak, right? So there's a lot to remain seen when it actually rolls out in terms of what are the actual prices on the impression amounts. They have an example there, but that could be subject to change. What's the click-through rate? So kind of like the channel points test initially, like if you were to pay $10 for this, what would you actually see for impact on your channel or someone else's channel? So that stuff obviously will change how it's received a little bit, but I still, honestly, I just can't see them releasing this feature as is with how much negative feedback there's been, even not just from general news, but like top streamers on the platform. I've seen Ludwig and Coke Carnage and plenty of other huge streamers call Twitch out for this kind of thing. So I don't see them releasing it like this, or at least tweaking it a little bit before they release it. But we'll have to see, because if it's efficient, I mean, people will use it for a little while. And Twitch, like you said, is feeling the need to be profitable at this point. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do end up still releasing it just to try and get a revenue stream out there. But if they do that, I feel like it's going to use for like a month or two, and then no one will use it essentially.
I'm bringing up screen share here, which you can't. If you kind of look next to my head, this is where I believe the promoted streams would go. The recommended channels, sort of down the left hand side of the homepage, possibly also in sort of a carousel format. We might see recommended channels there as well, and at least that way you get a screenshot. But the click-through rate must be so poor of these channels, and right now, even looking at mine, I think the smallest stream still has over 500 views. So we're not talking small creators here. We're still talking the upper 5%. So I don't know really what else to say about this feature. I feel like we've covered it in great detail. There has been some responses from people that voted yes. Porgy, who I think is the third comment that we've read out from them. We do have more users in chat, but seems to be speaking sense, has said, I voted yes. I would rather guarantee my favorite streamers some cash and myself a cool sub badge rather than pointless recommendation. But I feel like that's an answer to voting no. Would you pay to boost your favorite streamers? The answer should be no to that. But I feel like overall the sentiment is the same from most people, that it's just a bit of a strange feature to introduce.
Slongy said, I don't need money from donations, so I'd rather have someone spend that money on promoting my stream, which I guess is fair. Like if you just have zero need to monetize your stuff and you just want to get an audience, sure, I guess there's no other option to spend your money on. That makes sense. But still, like just the whole concept of execution, I just don't see it being received well. There was also one comment from someone, Monte Cristo, who said, this will benefit the small streamers, but it really won't because it's a kingmaker system, just like the existing design of Twitch. So the communities with the biggest audiences will have the most people to contribute to the boosting. And so this actually doesn't help solve discoverability really at all, because only the existing discovered channels will have the audiences to fund the new discoverability. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I explained that well.
That does another good comment to bring up. Rufus says, will they provide any kind of proof that they boosted the streamer? Because rightfully so, as the person putting money to boosting a streamer, you probably want to see what kind of impact that has. And if it has, like I expect it to have, almost zero impact in terms of viewership, especially as most viewers aren't going to understand that even if this system was implemented well, the click-through rate could be 1 or 2% max.
Mm-hmm.
So they might see, 3,000 recommendations for $3. I can put $3 behind that if they're going to get 3,000 viewers, and not understanding that there's no chance they're going to get 3,000 viewers from 3,000 recommendations. And I'd be surprised if they even got 30 viewers from 3,000 recommendations. So they might then, demand a refund or complain in some ways. So is Twitch building a system to be able to describe to donators how many viewers that ended up bringing in or anything like that? Like, they've got to see some kind of value for it to be successful. Otherwise they'll do it once and never do it again.
But I mean, that's what's predatory about this system though, is because it's your community boosting. It's usually for other platforms. If you're boosting, you're a social media manager or you have some experience in advertising to know what impressions versus clicks and all that is. But if you're just a general viewer who's brand new to Twitch, you might interpret that as 3,000 views and that kind of thing. So
right.
I think that's why, and Twitch is not incentivized to really educate you on what that means, clicks versus impressions, because then you might be less likely to spend money. So I don't know. The whole thing is just kind of suspicious to me.
Yeah, well, let's leave it there. I think if this ever does see light of day, and I'd be surprised now after the community backlash if Twitch ever actually does release this, but if it does, we'll put some money behind it, do some tests, and see what the actual click-through rate is on different streamers, various different categories, because I think that would make a pretty good video. But I'd be surprised now after the backlash if this ever did end up getting released. I think that probably wraps up. Lots of new Twitch features, obviously the big talking point at the end, and lots of opinions on that. Thanks again to everybody that's joined in with the chat. As always, it really does make these live streams way more interactive for both Ben and I when we can get so many opinions from you guys in the chat. And for all the people listening in podcast form, thanks for all the reviews. Continue to review us over on Apple Podcasts so that we can climb the ranks in the gaming and industry categories, or whichever categories we're in. And Ben, I'll leave you to do the final sign-off.
Yeah, I mean, as always, if you guys are listeners on audio, make sure to drop us a comment on Twitter, Discord, Instagram, whatever you want. If you have thoughts on the pay to boost feature or just something you want us to talk about, let us know. We're always checking those things. And thanks again to everybody in chat. Appreciate you guys being here. It makes it a lot more interactive and fun to get your opinions. So thanks for that.
All right. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
See ya.